Ladies and gentlemen, I will call the board meeting of the Del Mar College Board of Regents to order at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, August the 8th. I'm going to call a roll to establish our quorum. Mr. Krull. Ms. Averett? Here. Dr. Adami?
Here.
Mr. Garza? Here. Mr. Loeb?
Here.
Dr. Babley? Here. I'm Carol Scott. We have a quorum and can conduct business. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Dr. Adami, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let's join together in reading our Del Mar College vision statement. Del Mar College will be the premier choice for life-changing educational opportunities provided by responsive, innovative faculty and staff who empower students to improve local and global communities. Thank you all. Del Mar College will be live streaming our audio and video from the official Board of Regents meetings on the college's website in real time, with the exception of portions of the meeting considered as closed session by statute. We have the opportunity for general public comment for items that are not on our agenda today. Is there anyone here for general public comment? Seeing none, we will move on to our, unfortunately, during the summertime, we don't have an opportunity for recognitions, but we will move on today for our student success report with Patricia Benavides-Dominguez. I said that right.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, President. The Student Success Center is honored to announce that they have renewed their Level 1 College Reading and Learning Association Certificate, aka the CRLA certification. The CRLA certification is the professional development resource of choice for college professionals dedicated to enhancing student academic success. The Level 1 CRLA certification is granted after a tutoring center submits their 10-hour training program to the International Tutor Training Program Certification Organization. Once the CRLA certification is granted, the tutor training programs of each have the authority to recognize tutors having met the approved training program requirements. The Student Success Center is certified through April 30th, 2026. The purpose is twofold. First, the certification provides recognition and positive reinforcement for a tutoring program's successful work. And second, the certification requirement is set an internationally accepted standard of skills and training for tutors. Prior to creating the new CRLA training curriculum, the director of the Student Success Center attended the CRLA conference and joined in intensive training sessions over creating approved CRLA training experiences. In order to create the CRLA certified training program, there are 4 requirements that a tutor training programs must demonstrate that include sound hiring and selection processes, planned training experiences, tutor experiences, regular program evaluation. The actual tutor training will consist of multiple topics from the Level 1 training categories that include 10 hours of such topics as basics, tutor communication, learning and studying techniques, ethics and equity, electives, FERPA compliance, topics of that nature. The benefits of the CRLA certification offers numerous benefits for the institution, program administrators, and students. For the institution, the certification means setting a benchmark of academic excellence within the tutoring center and ensuring that best practices are utilized as outlined by the CRLA. For program administrators, certification indicates a tutor training program designed by a learning center is reviewed and approved by an organization of highly experienced trainers and auditors. Certified training attracts highly motivated students, tutors who value both professional and resume development. For students who work with certified tutors, experience the benefit of working with someone trained in effective helping strategies, communication skills, and structuring tutoring sessions. The SSC plans to continue its tutor development by creating an additional 10 hours of training that will cover the aforementioned categories and include new metacognitive and psychosocial training topics. This additional training will earn the SSC a Level 2 certification, a feat not yet accomplished in any previous year. Although the CRLA certification is a great achievement for tutors, learning centers, our learning centers are staffed more than just tutors. We also have student assistants, office administrators, part-time educator, part-timers that are a huge part of the learning success, and the CRLA now offers a peer education certification training program for any staff who are not tutors but interact with students and faculty and campus administrators. The peer educator training contains multiple training topics geared towards peer educators. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Is this the first time that we have reached this certification, or is this a regular certification for us?
It's a regular certification for us.
Thank you. Any other questions? Dr. Escamilla, would you
Sure.
like to give us your president's report?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. So, as we wind up summer, I would like to talk about a few dates that I've participated mostly externally in representing the college. On the 27th of June, both Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi, and Del Mar College came together on-site at their campus to sign the College Connection program. I want to thank the team that put everything together there so that Dr. Miller and I could come together and ink it, if you will, or sign it and make it official. The College Connection program, again, continues to advance the relationships between Del Mar College and TEM-UCC and benefit for with the benefit of our students having more and more seamless opportunities to transfer. So that was a great day. We got a lot of good press out of that and so forth. Again, thanks to all who put that together. I just had to sign the document, so I appreciate those kinds of things. Kind of out of order here. Well, no, sorry. July 11th, I attended the Texas Association of Community Colleges Executive Committee meeting. On the 17th through the 19th, I traveled to Nashville, Tennessee to attend the Anthology Together Global Conference. We had a big team as we are wrapping up a big portion of this implementation. I also, not only did I attend, but I participated in a presentation with their Chief Innovation Officer, Dr. Melissa Hartz, and we talked about change management and all the things going on, the things that we've experienced here at Del Mar College as an institution, an anthology institution and so forth. So it was a great time there. I traveled quickly from there to Austin, or actually Lakeway, Texas, outside of Austin for the annual Texas Association of Community Colleges. I also had a couple executive team members, Dr. John DeHalcom and Patricia Benavides Dominguez attended, as well as we unfolded HB8, as much as we know about it today, or at least to this point. And I appreciate them attending as well. It was a great conference. It's a different day. It's a different time. I got to say, they kept us quite busy at this annual meeting, as you might imagine. And then finally, I'd like to talk to everyone about give as much as I can at this point a budget update and where the college is. There are many proposed, let me see, there are several proposed dates that we typically have in the month of August as we prepare our budget for everyone to review. But given the anomalies and so forth with regards to some appraisals that need to come in and some things that we're going to learn as soon as tomorrow, we're asking everybody's patience for extra patience as we are waiting for some information that will tremendously affect one way or the other our budgets. And as such, the dates that are out there that are currently scheduled on our calendar need to remain fluid. And I think between what we learn tomorrow, when we get some more information from the county and then or the appraisal district rather, and then our time that we come back on the 10th, which is another scheduled called meeting, we will be able to unfold and begin really moving forward in earnest to close out our budget for the year. With your patience, we think we can get it all done. With some luck, in terms of timing, that we can get it all done within the month of August as well. Maybe up until the very last day of August as a possibility. Again, I ask for everybody's patience. As soon as within the next 36 hours or so or less, we will know how we can move forward, and we will begin posting. I'm working with Ms. Alanis and Ms. McDonald to begin setting all the postings, as well as our CFO and business office team. I just need another 24 to 36 hours to be able to nail these dates down. I didn't want to bring a lot of energy to this just yet. Because there's just so much in the way of speculation at this point. I am grateful to the business office for all the work that they've been doing with all the various scenarios out there that we have. I thank you for all those efforts, because I know it's been a most unusual year in that regard. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, especially with regards to the last item.
Are there any questions for Dr. Escamilla? We'll learn more on Thursday.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Under Regents' report, Dr. Turner and I had the opportunity to attend the Community College Association of Texas Trustees Leadership Seminar at South Texas College in June. Dr. Escamilla attended with us as well. We heard from Dr. Linda Garcia, who is the Executive Director of the Center for Community College Student Engagement. She presented some interesting data about the student experience. They do work nationwide, but she is based in Texas, and so is specifically attentive to trends around the student engagement and the student experience in Texas. I was just looking on the website to see if the slides and the information from that seminar had been posted, and I was not able to find them, but I'll work on that and get those to Delia so she can distribute those, because it was interesting information about students and as it relates to policy making. We also heard a presentation from a group of employers in the Rio Grande Valley area, one in technology, or two really technology related, one more manufacturing around technology, the other kind of a pure technology company, and then a health related company in the Rio Grande Valley, and talking about the changes that they're seeing in collaborations with community colleges, and really strengthened, from my perspective, the work that we do here at Del Mar College as well, knowing that we are I think, working in similar directions as our other colleges across the state. And then the panel that Dr. Escamilla and I served on, along with the South Texas College President, Dr. Solis, and their board chair, Rose Benavides, talking about the role of CEOs and regents in community college advocacy, both in Texas as well as across the nation. Ms. Benavides is the chair of the Association of Community College Trustees at the national level. So it was nice to have that perspective from our respective regents and our chancellors or CEOs alongside of us. And then the last session was a deep dive into some advocacy and data that was presented by Elizabeth Shivers with Texas Association of Community Colleges, along with Jihang Lee, who is the president CEO of ACCT, who was there with us as well. Talking about the trustees' role in advocacy as well. So it was a good day in McAllen with our cohorts from South Texas College, and I encourage our regents. These trustee leadership seminars are being held in person across the state, and certainly we don't have the budget to send all of us to those sessions across the state, but they are being offered virtually as well. So if your schedule permits, when you see the next one come across your email for these trustee leadership seminars, participate virtually if you can, because it's a good opportunity for, again, us to hear from our colleagues across the state. Any questions on that seminar? Moving on then to our board notifications. From time to time, there are administrative procedures that are updated, and staff brings those to us for our notification. It's not an action item, so Ms. McDonald will give us our latest update.
Yes, this is a notification to the board that the administrative procedure sections of the board policy for student scholastic dishonesty have been revised. The effective date will be August the 28th, which is the first day of our fall semester. If you have any specific questions, I do want to recognize and thank Dr. Paul Gottmeiler. He's our faculty council representative, Paul, and Dean Rita Hernandez, and Dr. Halcomb. We were all kind of our core committee to bring this to completion, and so that we were able to bring you the process changes today.
Are there any questions related to those changes? Mr. Loeb?
Generally, this is the copying out of Wikipedia to having ChatGPT do your homework for you revision, right? So that's the easiest way to summarize it?
Well, no, it didn't actually start that way. It started with providing, on the front end of the process, faculty more options, because they were very limited on what they could actually, the outcome could be with the student who had an allegation of academic dishonesty. So that's kind of where it started, so that we could give the faculty on the front end more options to remedy. But it also put in place some steps that if we happen to have, I'm going to call them, for the lack of a better scenario, which repeat offenders, I think I got that from Paul. From Dr. Gottmeiler, repeat offenders, to have a consequence, especially if it's the same semester or the same academic year, to have a process in place to address that type of behavior also. So that's kind of where it started. This has been a while in the making. I know Dr. Escamilla is reading. This has been a good while in the making, and I'm pleased that we came together and could bring it forward to provide some extra processes on the faculty side, but also some clarity on the student side too.
I just like to add to all the deans and faculty members, come on up, Paul, who have put in the time and effort towards this. This is long coming. This is not there's not been an easy solution for this sort of thing. So I just want to thank you all for all the time, all the hours that everyone has put into this collectively. It's been a team effort. It's been a joy to do. It's more enjoyable to see it behind us here, maybe in a few minutes, but we're glad that we're at this point, and thank you all.
Yeah, and Dr. Gottmeiler could probably give you a better explanation of the procedural changes of the intent for in place. I think I gave a pretty good summary, but there's something you'd like to add, go ahead.
Oh, I think you did a nice job with it. There's nothing more for me to add. I'm just happy to be done with it.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the completion of this work. Any other questions for Ms. McDonald or the team? Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Moving on to our pending business list, we've got some quarterly reports and audit reports to the board today. In September, we will look at the Higher Education Coordinating Board's new strategic plan and the work that has been done on that. That was first introduced to us last year, but I assume that there's probably some data questions and things around that report that we'll be able to discuss. And then looking at our policy review schedule in September as well, so that we can keep up to speed with that. And then in October, as we discussed this morning, we will have a update on our strategic planning process and maybe hear some interim work that has been done between today and then additional Clery Act audit reports, et cetera, things to occur in October. Any questions on our pending item list? Seeing none, we do have a consent agenda before us that consists of approval of several sets of minutes and acceptance of investments and financials as listed. Is there any item that needs to be pulled for separate consideration? Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Krul. Second by Dr. Babbely. Is there any public comment on the consent agenda motion? Seeing none, all those approved, please say aye. Raise your hand. Any opposed? Same sign. That motion passes unanimously. Our regular agenda, we do have an opportunity to hear from our internal auditors today, and Ms. McDonald will introduce that presentation.
Thank you, Chair. As we continue our internal audit process, today we will have Dan Graves and Brandon Tanos with Weaver. They are going to be presenting you the report for the internal audit on payroll. And they will also provide a review status of the internal audits for the Bursar's office, an advisory on safety and security, a follow-up for purchasing, IT security, and construction. To give you a little bit of background, the Board of Regents Audit Committee met on July the 12th, and Dan Graves and Brandon Tanos did provide information to the Audit Committee and presented this information to that committee. So I'm going to go ahead and invite Dan and Brandon up.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing us to come and present. We'll wait on our slides to be pulled up. We do have, as Tammy mentioned, we do have one audit report over payroll to present to you. Brandon will present that, and then I will provide you the status of all the other internal audit activity that we have remaining through the end of this fiscal year. So I'll let Brandon start as soon as we get our slides up. There we go. All right.
Thanks, Dan. Good afternoon, Regents. It is our pleasure to present the results of the internal audit over payroll, and so I'm going to start with that. So payroll, of course, is a key process here for the college, and much as you know, looking at budgets, it's one of your largest expenses. It has the most impact, mainly for people to make sure that their employees here are paid accurately and timely. Definitely when that does not happen, you hear about that first. So it was one of these audits that we knew is an important aspect and part of the plan to really get some assurances of what is happening here at the college. And happy to discuss our procedures we performed today along with the results. So overall, the scope of the audit focused really on the college-wide processes for payroll that are performed. We reviewed the procedures that are in place for the appropriate risk and regulatory coverage and compliance to ensure efficient and effective processes, including accuracy and timeliness. Our coverage period was from August 1st, 21 through February 28 of 23, and we initiated our fieldwork procedure starting in late April and wrapped that up here in June. Of course, we presented that also to the audit committee in June as well. This report received a strong rating, and I want to kind of commend first and foremost HR and payroll here, Jerry and Katrina. This area, a strong rating is a rare kind of occurrence that happens, and I think it shows a lot of the initiative and the processes and the controls that are in place within that department to ensure that there's effective, not just effective controls, but not single points of failure. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later when we go through those processes. And so commend on the strong rating with, we have one finding that we will discuss today. The scope was an all-encompassing scope of really start to end on your payroll process. So you actually have the payroll records that coordinate with HR through your actual timekeeping and approval, all through processing, reconciliations, payroll tax, and so forth. So with that strong rating, we could talk about the two objectives that we've done. So the first objective is what we call our internal control design evaluation. And this is where we look to see what are the people, processes, and technology that are part of the design for payroll. How does it ensure that it operates smoothly, efficiently, effectively, accurately, and timely? One of the key areas and why this received a strong rating is we don't have one single point of failure, where in many organizations that is what we see. One person that's done payroll, they've done it for a very long time. In this instance, we actually have a payroll director and 2 payroll technicians. They share responsibilities. They have that review and approval embedded and built into their control environment to ensure accuracy, timeliness, and of course being completed. And people, especially here at the college, get paid. They get paid what they're expecting, and it gets done timely, which is the most important, correct? No one's going to tell you that, hey, I got paid like I thought I was supposed to. So you will hear if it doesn't happen accurately. And so the internal control design really sets up the foundation, and it's really well designed and structured here to ensure that here at the college. So again, commending Jerry and Katrina on how they've designed that process, because again, we look for single point of failure. I've been in many organizations and see that happen. And if that payroll person leaves, we don't know how payroll is supposed to be processed, and you have a failure there that has large implications. The second is what we call our test of effectiveness. So we've learned about the design, and then we go and select samples and we test the process to see, does it operate as intended? We had no findings there, and people were paid accurately, timely, and appropriately. We also looked at stipends and those kind of merit increases that may happen at certain times to make sure they're entered in the system correctly and paid out as intended. And so overall, they have a strong rating. We did have one, what we call a low-risk finding. Not only do you have board policies, but there's also standard operating procedures that are within the HR payroll processes to ensure that people within those, the technicians and director, know how to process payroll. The one finding here, and I'll talk about why it's low, is that there were some areas that just weren't all covered in those standard operating procedures. So we had procedures, but they didn't encompass all steps and all procedures. In a typical environment, this may be more of a moderate risk area, but because you don't have a single point of failure, you have 3 people, and the likelihood of all those people being out at one time reduces the risk. So this is a more low risk area to ensure that, one, we have a complete and documented set of SOPs, and that we reevaluate those annually to make sure that they are up to date to reflect current processes. And management, of course, responded to this finding. We validated this with them, and they've already gone through that initiative to include a complete set of SOPs, which we will follow up with in another audit period. That is the conclusion of the results of payroll. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Compliments to the payroll staff. It's so wonderful when you get to come and say, nothing's wrong.
Yeah, it's always great. With no questions, I'm going to turn it over to Dan to complete our audit presentation.
Yeah, again, having a strong rating in payroll is a pretty big deal. A lot of people don't realize all the intricacies that go into a lot of the different things when you start talking about payroll deductions that are both voluntary and involuntary, and there's quite a bit there, and we normally don't have only one low risk finding whenever we do a payroll audit, so it's a pretty big deal. We do have the internal audit of the bursar's office. Our procedures are complete. We're in the process of closing out those procedures in the audit, going through our quality control review, and we have scheduled an exit meeting with the personnel over the bursar's office. We had some wrap up and got that finished between the audit committee meeting and today. That scope does include the processes that are listed, everything from daily cash receipts, deposits, to the point of sale system, recording different transactions, student accounting, all the way through accounts receivable and collections, as well as part of the funding and refunding cycle that wasn't covered in any financial aid audit. So it's a big area. We are in the process of getting that closed out, and we'll have that report for you when we report back again. We also have internal advisory audit over safety and security. So just a difference between an internal audit and an advisory audit. Advisory audits are more consultative in nature. When we presented this to you at the end of 2022, it was an audit, but given the progression of and pace of being able to find a full-time chief and not an interim chief, as well as getting the police department stood up, we've transitioned this into an advisory audit to help build policies, procedures, and other documentation to support the office when it gets stood up 100%. We are have kicked off that audit since the audit committee meeting. We had a planning meeting and discussion. We are kicking that off, and we'll be starting procedures. We now do not anticipate that the fieldwork will be complete before August 31st. It will stretch beyond that, and so that will be part of the audit plan for fiscal year 2024. When we present that to you in the future, that'll just be part of extending this audit through that next fiscal year. We also have 3 different follow-ups that we're performing and are largely complete with since the last time we briefed the audit committee. We have purchasing. We actually have the purchasing exit meeting this week, and we'll go over the results of our procedures with the purchasing department this week to then close that out and provide a draft report. As well as information security, we had some follow-up procedures that we were in progress. We have now, I believe, completed those. We have a couple clarifications that we have with the IT department, but we will present that in closed session in a future meeting due to the Public Open Meetings Act. Anything related to IT and IT security will present in closed session, but we do have some findings there that we believe will be remediated, and we'll present that work back to you. And then as well as construction management, we are in the process of helping the college update some standard operating procedures that will address the 8 findings from that construction management audit. We're in the process of getting those closed out, and we'll have those complete here soon, and we'll have that exit meeting with John and his construction department. So all the remaining procedures are being completed, will be complete through the rest of this month. We also have received the instructions for the annual internal audit report. We prepare that in accordance with the state auditor's office guidelines. So that's an annual report that we prepare. It's got 7 sections in it that we don't get to choose what goes in there, and the state auditor's office says this is what you'll put in. They published that guidance last Monday. We've already gone through the guidance, read it. There's nothing in the new guidance that severely or will change that report from the way it looked last year, so that's positive news. There's no new reporting requirements that we have to fulfill. When all these audits are complete, we'll prepare that report as well. It does have to be filed with the state auditor's office, the legislative budget board, and the governor's office by November 1st. So we've got some time to get that completed, but we'll prepare that as well. That shouldn't be any major report. It's only a couple pages long. So with that, any questions over the remainder of our audit plan, follow-up procedures, or the annual report?
We'll probably then see you back in October, I guess.
I believe that's the anticipated date,
Yeah.
yes.
Right. I think that was on the pending list, right?
Yes.
Great.
All right.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We do actually have to take action to accept that report. So is there a motion to accept the internal audit report? Thank you, Dr. Adami made the motion. Dr. Babley seconded it. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, is there any public comment on that motion? All those in favor of accepting the internal audit report as presented, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Garcia, would you like to introduce our guests to give us our quarterly investment report?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Madam Chair, Mr. President, members of the board. Today we have Mr. David Malkaway from Patterson Group, a member of the Meteor Investment Company, who will discuss the college's investment performance and strategies in pursuit of higher yields. Following the presentation, there is an action item for the board's consideration.
Welcome, good to see you again.
Thank you all for having me out again. It's a nice blistering heat here, just like Houston. So obviously the Fed is continuing on their continued course of raising rates. They did pause in June for the first time after raising it the first 10 consecutive meetings of this cycle. So they took a pause. We're actually going to be reviewing information that was kind of in the rearview mirror. The thing that was raging in the past quarter was that debt ceiling debate. And as it approached, the final deadline, everybody finally got it in gear. But at one point, the markets got so spooked about a potential technical default that short-term T-bills had spiked up into the 6-7% range for a day or two. And and then things simmer down by the end of the month. But we're continuing to see a real stubborn, the jobs continue to show growth, not huge growth, but there is job growth. The unemployment rate isn't going up. It's staying somewhat static. And the thing that's really, really sticky continues to be the core inflationary numbers. Core inflation is still hovering just below 5%. It's around 4.7. The regular CPI number has gotten as low as, it's done a 3 print, but the core CPI, which is more of what everybody's got to consume at the pump, groceries and everything, it's still being pretty stubborn. It's really having a hard time getting down from that high 4 area, although that would be about half of what the peak was the previous year. So, I mean, we're heading in the right direction, but the ship is still just real slow to turn. So, the Fed has continued to, keep the talk that they're not done. We suspect they're probably going to pause at September just to keep monitoring and see if the numbers do start to come down more favorably. And then that would leave a couple more meetings. The market's anticipating they're probably going to raise at least 1 to 2 more times before the cycle's done. We're thinking that maybe in the latter part of the year, they're going to meet again at the end of October and then again near mid-December. So we would expect maybe if the numbers are continuing to come down slowly on that core, on the consumer, the core CPI, if that'll come down just a little bit more, I think they may start to talk about pumping the brakes. But right now, that target rate of 2% is still comfortably below where we need to get to. This current Fed rate hiking cycle, you'll see it's that first line that's spiking up. Now we're at a 5% rate increase. That jumped to 5.25 as of the meeting that we just had here in July. The previous high rate hike cycle, we've discussed it before, was back in 2004, where the Fed raised 4.25%, and it was a 2.5-year cycle, and we're barely into 16 months of this rate hike cycle, and we've taken out 5.25. So again, we're still in the most aggressive rate hike cycle in modern history. Again, we still think it's getting the later stages of the ball game here, late innings, but we're still not hearing anything in their language that indicates they're ready to pivot and seesaw back down. Again, if we're just talking about the yield curve remains inverted, you can see that light blue line is where we are currently. So you can see that on the longer end of the curve, rates have expanded up, kind of in conjunction with the Fed continuing to raise on the short end of the curve. But it's a stark contrast to where we were in May of 2022, where we had a normal yield curve down on the bottom, where short-term rates were in the 1% area, raising up into the 2 to 3% zone around the 3-year mark. And now we can see rates had, over the last quarter, they had come up about 40 basis points. The 2-year Treasury yield went from about a 4 to 4.40. That yield right now as we speak is around 4.76. So again, that's a function of the Fed having raised 0.25%. And I think, they're continuing to try to make the market believers that they are going to continue with this mandate until they see the CPI numbers coming back down to a level that makes them comfortable. But again, the economy doesn't seem to be slowing, but that too, once it does slow, it's kind of hard to stop that ship. So that's going to be probably the million-dollar question. When do they pivot? And how slow does the economy get on a national basis? Because here, I think we're going to remain somewhat immune to kind of a real slowdown. We're going extremely brisk here. And again, you guys see it all around you. I saw that the old building on Baldwin Avenue, the fence is pushed out to the street, and it looks like it's gutted out. But that's when we get to the portfolio, obviously, we're continuing to see the funds coming down quarter over quarter. We closed out May. The change in market value was pretty much spend down of over $25 million of spend. The market value actually improved slightly from the previous quarter. The unrealized loss dropped from 4.4 down to 3.6. A lot of that's just a function of a lot of those lower yielding securities are getting closer to their maturity dates, and as they do so, they're going to keep gravitating up towards their par values. And as things do roll off those lower yielding coupons, we're either reinvesting, at rates. The last thing we bought, I think, was about a 5.60 yield. And currently, those rates are as high as 5.80 to 6% in some cases on longer-term commercial paper. But for the most part, we've, haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to do a whole lot of reinvesting in that, which we have done, has remained very short. And that's kind of the sweet spot of the curve anyway. But you can see the average yield for the quarter came in at just under 2.5%. Still chasing the T-bill rates, which are, still on the climb. On the next chart here, we can see that roughly 2/3 of the college funds are located in the local maintenance account. We see that the 2018 bond is now down to about 15% of the portfolio, and the remaining 2020 construction funds are at 4%. So the total piece of the pie that's allocated for construction is now slightly under 20%. And obviously that'll continue to be drawn down as these projects continue to be completed. And then we've got the INS, which is basically your debt service funds, represents 14%. And there will be a large payment going out here in August for the normal debt service there. So the weighted average maturity is just under 7 months currently. You can see that just under 20% of the portfolio is in liquid overnight. That's local government investment pools. And those rates are, most closely mirroring whatever the Fed's doing. So right now, your logic pool, as of today, is yielding about a 5.45. We've got 42% of the portfolio is rolling off in less than 12 months, and probably already probably 18 million of that has matured since the end of that last quarter. And then we've got, around 40% that is scheduled to mature between 12 and 24 months. This is just the same chart that was depicted on a previous page, different colors. But again, the preponderance of the funds are now located in the local maintenance account, with the rest of the percentages all under 20% or less. Then when we look at just the pooled funds, excluding the bond funds, the book value to close out the third quarter was just over 112 million. The market value is just under 110. Weighted average maturity, again, just under 7 months. The yield is slightly less than 3%. If you go to the far right column, you can see, where we were a year ago. That average yield was about a 0.65%. And the WAM has remained somewhat static. I mean, we haven't really increased it out there just because of the aggressive spend going on with all the construction here at the college. But the earnings are going up strictly as a function of all the reinvestments that we're doing are going in at much higher market rates now. And as far as the portfolio composition of those non-bond funds, it's as of the end of May, 44% of it was in agency notes. You had 24% of it in short-term commercial paper, 24% was in municipal bonds, and then the rest was either local government investment pool or bank balances. And those respective yields, you can see them coming up generally. The agency yield, though, we reinvested in 3 different short-term callable agencies, all in the upper 5% range, which is predominantly why that number jumped from a 0.44 to a 135. Commercial paper, we've just been kind of letting some of that stuff mature and go into cash. And the municipal securities hadn't been any new activity there. In the local government investment pools and your bank sweeps are the ones that, again, are they're increasing the most because they're following the Fed's actions. And let's see here, we got one more slide, which is just the residual balances of the bond funds. In the 2018 bond fund, there remains around 20 million. And obviously, we would expect that to, a year from now, probably be getting closer to zero balance. The 2020 A year ago, I think that was roughly 25 million, and it's down to 5 million. So we've had about a 20 million spend out of that. And that really just kind of rounds out the activity in the portfolio. Those portfolios remain fully invested in the securities that they had been the original purchases. So about 86% is agencies and 14% is municipal bonds. And if anybody has any questions specifically to the portfolio or diving deeper into what's going on with the economy, feel free to hit me up.
Comments, questions? Mr. Loeb?
Have you all had a conversation with our staff about possible cash flow and reserve? We've had a little bit of a discussion about having a bit different of an outlook for the next year than we have the last year, and I just wanted to know if you guys had talked about that at all.
Yeah, I think right now it's just we're kind of entering the low water mark of the year. We're going to hit typically around the end of August, September is where we hit the low point in the cycle, and then tax collections start coming in, and the balances start building back up. And I think just right now on the tail end of some of these projects, I think everybody's just kind of a wait and see how much we might be able to potentially carve out for more contingency funds or some reserve funds as we start to fill the buckets back up with the new tax collections.
And until we know more, that's all. That's all we have.
All right, thank you, Mr. McElwain. If there's no more questions, we do need to have a motion to accept the college's quarterly investment report as presented. Thank you, Dr. Babley. Is there a second? Rudy? Any discussion, any public comment on that item? Seeing no public comment, we will take a vote to adopt the college's quarterly investment report as presented. All those in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion carries unanimously. And then Mr. Garcia will continue. Item number 6 is the adoption of our investment policy and investment strategy.
Yes, thank you. So in accordance with the board's investment policy for adoption of investment policy and the Texas Funds Investment Act and the Public Funds Collateral Act, the college is required to have a written investment policy that describes our investment strategy, investment objectives, preservations and safety of principal, liquidity, diversification, and investment yields. The college is also required to review and update its investment policy on an annual basis. Mr. McElwain will describe the results of this body of work and recommendations with a proposed action item for board's consideration at the end of the presentation.
Thank you. So with regards to the investment policy, there's been no changes statutorily that would require any changes in the college's policy. And the broker-dealer list was expanded. We added a few additional names just to give us the more optimal flexibility as we look to future investments. So there was just a little expansion on that list.
Broker-dealers list is on the next item.
Okay. So as it relates just to the investment policy only, no changes to the statutes. And, potentially when we get back to the new budget cycle, if we want to get on the subject of maybe trying to carve out some reserve funds, we might be able to define that within the policy and give it a little, give it its own parameters, but we're not there yet, so.
So there is a resolution, board members, on page 145 of your packet to adopt the investment policy and strategy. Do we need to read that separately, Mr. Counsel, or can we just do it as presented? So it basically is adopting no changes, recognizing that there are no changes to the policy, and that we would pass and adopt this policy on this 8th day of August 2023. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as presented? Dr. Babley, is there a second? Second by Ms. Abbott. Any questions or comments on that motion? Is there any public comment on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the resolution to adopt the investment policy and strategy, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes unanimously. Now, number 7, Mr. McElwain, we'll talk about our broker-dealer list.
Yes. So in accordance with the board's investment policy, the Texas Public Funds Investment Act, and the Public Funds Collateral Act, the college is required to review, revise, and adopt a list of qualified brokers that are authorized to engage in investment activity for the college on an annual basis. Today, we have Mr. David Malcolm to describe the results of this body of work and recommendations with a proposed action item for the board's consideration at the end of his presentation.
Yes. Apologize, I jumped the gun there. But we did expand that broker-dealer list with a handful of new names, as well as invariably with some of the acquisitions that take place from time to time. There were some firms that, maybe one or two, that had a little slight name change. But that was it. Just gave the broker-dealer list a little more flexibility and a little more variety.
Are there any questions for Mr. McElwain on this list? Hearing none, the board, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the resolution adopting our authorized broker-dealer list as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Krull makes that motion. Is there a second? Dr. Babley? Any discussion, questions? Any public comment on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the resolution as presented, please raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, sir. And now Mr. Garcia will give us our college's quarterly financial statement.
Yes. Okay. All right, for the 9 months ended May 2023, the college's financial performance is sound relative to the annual planned budget. Here are a few highlights. In general, the reported state funding and other revenue categories are performing within the planned budget. Tuition is trending similar to prior year's actuals at around $18 million, with the possibility of closing out the year at near $22 million. The reported property tax revenues are trending relatively at the same rate relative to prior years. And our investments revenue is performing well above the planned budget due to better than expected investment yields for the reason explained just right now by Mr. McElwain. Pivoting on to operating expenses. Expenses with a grand total of $77.9 million are within the planned budget at a rate of 68%, which is relatively consistent with the prior year's rate of 67%. There are no questions. We'll move on to the balance sheet on the next slide.
I do have a question.
Yes.
So you're showing a fiscal year '23 net income from operations at about $23 million
On,
at the bottom?
yes, the bottom, $23 million. Yes, ma'am.
And do you think that is going to hold through the end of the fiscal year? I realize your crystal ball, but this is through May, so we're already into August.
Yes, so this is for the quarterly financials. We still
Yeah.
have about another 3 months of operations. Will it hold? I think it will hold steady within the planned budget in terms of our expenses. Our operating revenues, we still need to wait another month or two until we see some other of the revenue categories finalized. Will there be any surprises relative to last year? I think it will be relatively consistent to prior years' revenues and expenses. Exact amount, I don't have that in front of me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, on to the balance sheet. Any other questions?
Well, I just want to make sure I'm reading this right. So so far, our net pension obligation is down $5 million?
So I think we're now looking at the balance sheet, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So yes, I do have a talking point on that. Let me get to that category. Give me a second. To the balance sheet. There we go. All right. So I will move straight into the net position, right? Is that your question or the liability? 'Cause they're the
Yeah,
same.
the net position.
Okay, all right. So in general, the net position has improved relative to the previous years, right? 30.9 million. This is attributed in part for the items you just mentioned, the college pension and other post-employee benefits. That's mainly driven by improved interest rate performance within the pension itself, and also changes to the pension plan itself in general. So on a year-over-year basis, a turnaround of $7.2 million. Yes. And that is consistent with the liability. You see that reflected in the liability itself. You see that $6.9 million, that's also driving our liability down. Again, those improved yields for reasons that Mr. McElwain just explained. Okay. All right. So pivoting back onto the top item, assets. Based on the May 2023 balance sheet, the college remains on solid financial footing to weather most business interruptions with a cash and investment positions valued at $73.3 million. This is sufficient to pay its current obligations, valued at around $16.9 million. In addition, the reported cash and investment position is above the board cash reserve requirement of approximately 3 months of current operations, which is valued at $28.7 million. Moving on to the liabilities, I think I already talked about the biggest change on a year-over-year basis is your pension activity. That's also impacting your net position itself. Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. President, that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Seeing no other questions, is there a motion to adopt the college's quarterly financial statement as presented? Thank you, Mr. Loeb, second by Dr. Babbely. Any other questions or comments? Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the college's quarterly financial statement, please raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes unanimously.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Strybos is going to give us change order number 14 on our Oso Creek campus project.
This is your last change order.
So all the new ones are a new project?
Other projects, but we have a very clear message and we're all on the same page. Everything's being handled within those budgets. You do have a page that analyzes the change order for you, and the bulk of it is city utility bills, in which we've been working with the city on getting the accounts transferred over. We've completed that task. You look at the remaining tasks that were funded with this change order. Fire damper at the central plant. This is a code requirement. Corpus Christi Stamp Works is part of the design fee for the exterior signs. Privacy film, that we put up privacy films at all the offices. We had missed one of them. And then number 111, replace bollards. We have a driver who got confused, and we are pursuing getting reimbursed through his insurance for that particular item. Total amount of this change order then is the $69,161.03 being funded with plant funds. Your total cost for this project for the central plant and all the rest of the campus ends up being $129,644,126.53.
In your background, you talked about the project being 89% complete.
It is 100% complete.
Okay,
It
okay. So our original $139 million budget, and we have completed the project for $129 million?
Yes.
Is that correct? And that includes all architectural fees?
Well, this is only construction numbers.
The construction numbers?
This is only construction. So you have architecture fees, you have furniture, fixtures, equipment, and in addition to $139 million, you had interest income that was earned, and then we've used plant funds along the part of the way, and there's architecture and audiovisual parts of this. So I'll work with finance, we'll come up with a more comprehensive report of all the expenses and all the revenues.
And would we use roughly $10 million to reimburse the plant fund, because we use monies out of plant fund? Or is that a future discussion, Mr. President?
And so, because of the nature of these and the timing of these dollars, we had to get them through and so forth. So once we tidy up and reconcile the last bit of dollars, we can discuss how we can potentially pay back a plant fund dollars. We'll have to talk. We'll have to see. We'll report
Or
back that too.
if there are other uses that you want to recommend, was curious about.
Any balance.
About the balance and then what that allocation might look like. So you'll come back with reported
Yeah, let
recommendations.
me come back. I'm thinking there's going to be minimal balance,
Gotcha.
Right.
if anything.
Yes, sir.
But the work before us is to approve the last change order number 14. We're going to hold you to
That
that,
is
Mr.
correct.
Trevos.
Yes.
To change order 14 for the Oso Creek campus. Is there a motion to approve that change order? Thank you, Mr. Cruel. Second by Dr. Adami. Any other questions or comments? Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Same sign. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Mr. Strabos. The board will now go into closed session under Texas Government Code 551.071, consultation with legal counsel, and Texas Government Code 551.074A1 regarding personnel matters. The time is 2:01 p.m. The board has returned from closed session at 2:54 p.m. There is no action coming out of closed session today. Regarding the calendar, we're going to have an updated calendar this coming Thursday, August 10th at 9 a.m. The board's going to meet in another special called meeting. At that point in time, we will update our budget calendar for the rest of the year. And at this point in time, then we don't have those dates confirmed for the rest of August. We will have a regular board meeting on September 12th, and our October board meeting will be held on October the 3rd. October the 3rd. So that is our calendaring that we have to announce for today. We do have actually convocation is occurring the 21st. And so Delia will be sending you information. Typically, the board is invited to attend, but it is Dr. Escamilla's convocation with his faculty on the 21st. And again, we're invited to be guests at that if your schedule permits you to do so. Any other questions on, graduation? No August graduation this year. No August graduation this year, that's right. All right, nothing else for calendaring. The board is adjourned at 2:56 p.m.